Hi, welcome back to Learning to Program with C from LearnToProgram.tv. My name is Mark Lassoff, and this is the second video in the series. In the first video, we wrote a very simple Hello World program which output the words Hello World to your console. In this particular program, we're going to use variables. Variables are a structure that are found in just about every programming language and are extremely important. Variables are designed to hold a value, and C uses typed variables. Typed variables mean we have to define a data type for each variable that we use. For example, I'm going to use an integer variable, and we're going to call this variable age, because it's going to hold the user's age. Now, of course, at the end of each line, or the end of each command, rather, I put a semicolon. And for the next variable, instead of an age variable, I'm going to have this variable hold a salary. So let's say salary is going to be an integer as well. Now, finally, I'm going to define a third variable. And this variable is going to be a float for a floating point variable because it's going to have a decimal point. So I'm going to define this as float and then the name of the variable. Just like the first variable was called age and the second variable was called salary, each variable has to have a unique name. So we'll call this particular float variable batting average. So there are our three variables. Now you may be wondering about variable names. Try and use variable names that are descriptive for what exactly they are used for or the value they are holding. So obviously here we're going to use age to hold an age, salary to hold a salary, and batting average to hold a batting average. Now the type of variable has to do with the type of value that it stores. We've only used two variable types here, but they are the most common. We've used integer, or I should say among the most common, we've used integer, or int, and float. And as you'll remember from basic math years ago, an integer is a value that is a whole number, and in C, an integer has a specific range of values, which is somewhat dependent on your operating system. And then a float is a value that can have a decimal. So now that we've declared these particular integer and float variables, we're going to use them to represent values. In the initial part of the program, we only declared the values. We said we're going to have, the variables. We said we're going to have three variables: an age variable, a salary variable, and a batting average variable. And then we declared the type, but we haven't assigned values to those variables. We assign values with the assignment operator. So my age is assigned 35, or the variable age is assigned the value 35 because I'm 35 years old. My salary, well, varies quite a bit, so I'm going to make up what I wish my salary was, 500,000. I don't quite make that much money. And finally, batting average. I think I may be lying to you on this one as well. Got to be consistent with case there, so average is capitalized in both these terms. Let's say my batting average is 312 or 0.312. So now each of these variables represents the particular value that I've assigned to it. So I could here use a printf command to show the actual value output to the console. So I'm going to use the printf command to do that now. Okay, so here's printf, or print function, and then we're going to output the string literal, I am, and then where we're going to have the actual variable value, I'm going to use a %, and d, which is the signifier for an integer variable, and I'm going to say years old. Then I'll close the string literal part of the printf command. I'll put a comma and the variable name that I'm going to output in place of the %d, in which case is age at this point. So essentially I've said with the printf command, or print function, literally we're going to print out I am, and then we have this variable or printf signifier here for an integer, years old, and then we said comma, age. All right, so let's give this particular program a spin. And I just realized I'm forgetting one thing. So before we compile, we want to add, just as we did in the first program, the get character command there to the end of the program. This way the result will stick around long enough for us to actually view it. All right, and of course we'll save. And I save this as vars.cpp and then use our compile and run command. And now we get the result, I am 35 years old. And of course, the 35 right here in the age variable was substituted for the %d and variable age pair we have in the print function. Again, %d used because we're using an integer, and age is the variable name. So if we want to output the next one, we'll go ahead and again add printf, and this one will be roughly the same because it's also an integer value. I earn %d dollars per year. Okay, and then we have comma, and the variable name at this point is salary. It's a nice descriptive variable name. Again, we'll go ahead and save, compile and run. Now, they're kind of squished together because, well, we didn't tell it to output a carriage return or any type of space between the lines. We'll go ahead and fix that in a minute. But we have I am 35 years old, and I earn $500,000 per year. Hey, if you're going to lie, lie big, right? Okay, now to output our last value, since this is a float, we're going to have to use a different print function or printf signifier. My batting average in Little League was, actually I didn't play Little League, but you know, this is all fiction. All right, so this time we're going to use %f. Close the quotes, put a comma, and the variable name is batting average. Save our document one more time, compile and run, and now we add my batting average in Little League was .312000, and it prepended this with 0 point. And that's because we haven't really given it any direction on how to output the floating point number, so it's using kind of a default format. So the next thing we're going to want to do is clean up the output of our variable values just a little bit so it appears cleaner to the user.